All right. Good morning. This is exciting. People First podcast back again out of course, the construction life studio, because what is life without partnerships, without connections? Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Angelina, for making this happen. I love being in this space. There's something magical about face-to-face connections. And that brings me today to our two wonderful guests across the table, both full of energy. Both were in for a treat. They're amazing human beings, and they're full of a wealth of knowledge that you don't even know exists yet. Erika, Andrew, say hello, world. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us, first and foremost.
My pleasure. This is exciting. Hey, don't let her do all the talking.
Oh, thank you as well very much for having us on the podcast.
You're welcome. Just we're gonna get into this now. There is so much to share, and I don't want to be the guy doing all the talking, so I'm going to volley it well over to you. And before we get into some of the fun, exciting meat and potatoes of things, we're going to pivot right into it. Schooley Mitchell, I'm going to drop that name now. We're going to touch on it. We're going to come back to it. And it's really going to unpack the whole purpose of this conversation. And before we get there, it's about you guys. And what better way to connect with the audience out there than telling us a little bit about you. And the way we're going to do this is a little bit different, a little bit fun. Erika, I'm going to start with you because you've got the nice big smile, and Andrew's sitting there going, holy shit, what's he going to say? So here it is. So we're going to pivot over to you. Erika, tell us something unique about you that the world doesn't yet know and will in about 5 seconds from now.
Something unique about me, I am a 2-time business owner. That most of the world does not know about that.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That is. Can you go on about that? Tell us about your past businesses.
Absolutely. So I'll even go before that. So I started with a patent in the cosmetic industry and grew a love for business by how I created it, how all the departments work, and how to really bring it to life. And then from there, the pandemic happened. So I had to put that a little bit on hold.
Okay.
Got into my marketing agency. As we know, the pandemic also slowed a lot of things down. And I said, you know what? If I can't find a role, I'm going to create one. And I created one for myself. Still doing that as we speak. And now I got into Schooley Mitchell. So this is my second business, hopefully, maybe even more in the future.
Really, really exciting. I can't wait to get into some of those details. Andrew, I want to jump right over to you because this is fun. So I'm not going to ask the same question because now you know the question. So your brain's already started to process, okay, here's how I'm going to answer. So here's a different question for you. Context, food. And I don't even know if food's your thing, so I'm just making an assumption here. Food, though. Steak or pasta?
I'd probably go pasta.
Why?
There's just so many different variations that you can do with it. Steak, you got a couple. You could do like peppercorn or a couple of variations. With pasta, you can do anything. You could do bolognese. You could do pepe cacio. You could do various different types.
Okay, so if you had a choice of pasta, what would you choose?
Aglio olio with the spaghetti.
Okay.
And with some little spice in it.
Really? Interesting. Why do you choose that?
Ever since a kid, that's been my favorite dish.
Yeah.
When my nonna used to make it, I used to just eat like bowls and 2 or 3 of them, and then the rest of the meal came. I was like, I'm not even hungry anymore. That'd be the only thing I ate.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. It's just so interesting, right?
You had him at food. We went to a restaurant.
I saw him line up. I was like, holy shit, that was it.
We went to a restaurant on Saturday. He looks at the server. He goes, is this going to be enough for me?
Because you go to restaurants now and it's like you order the food and they bring it out and it's like one taco or like it's a very small portion. It's like you pay $25. Like I'm still hungry after this.
No, and that's a real conversation. Is you don't know what you're going to expect, right? It's like, oh, it dresses up nice on the menu. Oh, this sounds fantastic. Until you're like, where's the rest of it, right? So that's cool. Okay, so hang on. If you go out to a restaurant, will you have pasta at a restaurant?
No, I usually have it at home.
See, my brain went there. right? And I need to verify that because, again, I have similar biases and transferences of life, and that's sort of how, if I was to say to my dad, let's go out, and he does so more now, but there was a time where it was like, no, you don't have pasta. You go to a restaurant, you don't have pasta because you have pasta at home. I was like, holy shit, right? And now our son, who is 10, that kid you give him rigatoni and a bolognese sauce, he's in heaven, just bowl after bowl, and doesn't care where it is. So thanks for all that. Well, that was fun. Now I want to know a little bit more. Like Schooley Mitchell, I know what it is today, and I didn't always know what it is. So I'm going to come back to you, Eric, because thank you for that. But bring us into the Schooley Mitchell world. How, why, what, go.
So what it really is it's reducing expenses. At the end of the day, we all have marketing expenses, we have HR, we have all these different things. But one thing that often gets overlooked is telecom and your merchant services, or even some of your waste management. Sometimes a lot of the categories that we work with, people in businesses just look at it as like, okay, I'm just going to go with Waste Connections Canada, or I'm going to go with Bell for whatever provider and call it a day. They don't do a lot of negotiating, and those are things that are not taught in school. And so what we do as a business is we go in and we say, listen, you don't just have to go with Bell or Rogers. That's just an example for telecom. There's so many other companies out there. We have 3,700 vendors across Canada and the US. There's a lot of negotiating that you can do, and you can find better quality and pricing. So what we do in essence is we help you save on those expenses. And at the end of the day, if we can put money back into your pocket within 6 to 8 weeks, depending on what we're looking for, that's money not only that you get to save, but what I really like about the model is you get to put that into other places of your business. Things such as marketing or HR, or maybe, hiring somebody on your sales team. So our model is pretty simple, I would say. And that's what we specialize in. That's what we do. But I think past the cost reduction, we're kind of like financial advisors in a sense. Every 3 months, I'm going to touch base with you. How's it going? What's going on? Are things changing in your business? Okay, here's a recommendation, or maybe we can talk to somebody else about A, B, and C. When you talk to a wealth advisor, you're not going to just keep it in blue chip for 5 years. There's lots of different avenues and things that you can move around with. And that's in essence what we do. Andrew, do you want to add to that as well?
I would think the part that you would also need to add to is the expenses we look at are, a lot of businesses, they focus on their core expenses. So like the stuff that costs them a lot of more money. When you go to your telecom, when you go to your waste management, not a lot of businesses look at those expenses. Or when they look at it, they just do a quick little overview. They say, oh, that looks about right. They just sign off on it and pay it. Okay. But what you don't realize is certain expenses, like I'll give you an example, waste. Over the past year, our team has found that inflation alone, companies are raising waste by 30.87%. So over the year, when you see your bill rate, a lot of bills raised by that much, you're just like, oh, I guess that's the new price. You sign off and you pay on it. But if you actually looked at it or compared to other vendors, you can find a savings, and then, like Erika said, you can reinvest that money into different projects that you want to and expand your company or do whatever you like with the money.
Hang on, can I pump the brakes here a little bit?
Yes.
I like this for a second, and I keep hitting the mic, so my apologies, Angelina. Except that when we talk about waste, okay, so now I'm looking at my waste costs. Mike, so I'm looking at my waste costs, and I see, a bin that once cost me, $1,000 is now costing me $1,300. So what now? What, like, can I not just go shop to another guy?
You can, but the thing about waste is, even our team tells us, waste vendors are a little harder to deal with. They usually your current vendor will make it a little bit more difficult for you to buy out, or they won't give you much rate. As well, put it from your business, from your aspect of your business. Is your core focus on your waste and understanding the total market on how much this costs in terms of all the fees and everything part of it? Or are you going to focus more on your core business in terms of, I need to get this building fixed, or
Right.
I need to do this, I need to do that. In terms of down the line, in terms of priorities, where do you think waste lies for a lot of people in terms of checking and just not even checking, but scouring the market and seeing the prices?
It's a commodity. It's okay. So what do you suggest instead?
So what we suggest is we'll look over it. What we do is we'll review your previous expenses, we'll review your contract, and we'll go to the market for you. We'll negotiate with your current vendor, and we'll go to other vendors as well. What we do is we come back to you, say, listen, this is what you're currently paying for same services or better, because we also optimize your services. So a lot of times people may not need certain options that are in their services. That comes to other aspects as well. And what we'll do is, this is the options available to you. Do you want to proceed, yes or no? And the business owner, you have the final say if you want to proceed.
So rather than me taking the time, energy, and resources to dig into those details, make those calls, evaluate those proposals, that's where Schooley Mitchell steps in. Is that accurate?
Exactly.
Okay.
So what we do is, with our expertise and knowledge, we save you all that time. We know all the current vendors. We know the market. We know the pricing. Instead of you spending 6-7 hours, couple days a week trying to figure out, okay, this is what this guy quoted me, this is what this person quoted me, this is what this person quoted me. We know that already at time. We have the connections within these companies to go to the individual representatives, say, listen, this client here, this is what they need, this is what they require. What can you do in pricing? We save you all that time. We come back to you, say, this is what we can do, and we lay it out for you, showing you.
Hang on, Erika. I know you're going to throw something at me in a second because you're chomping at the bit. So I want to close this to make sure my brain processes this appropriately. So if I'm talking a 40-yard bin, and we're having a coffee and say, Andrew, this is what the 40-yard bin's costing me today, you'll already have the insight to know, Jonathan, you're slightly overpaying, or actually maybe you're not. Actually, it's a rock star price. Stick with it. Because you're always in tune with what's happening, fluctuating in the market?
Correct. We are in tune as well. That's also why we look at your bills as well. To go on to a separate topic that we could talk about later is, yes, your contract says this, but a lot of times a lot of these companies do is they add on fees. And you don't notice it, or like they're small little fees, but over time they add up. So you'll be adding on like a min fee, you're adding a tonnage fee, sorry, my apologies. You're adding all these little fees on. So then we're looking like, why are you paying all this? This is not even in your contract.
Go ahead. Yeah, go. Say it.
I was going to say the other thing too that we also uncover, and it's huge in construction, is when we're looking at all these costs and what we can either eliminate or what we need to bring on, or, if it's maybe the same vendor or different vendor, is there's a disconnection between the people on the site and also people in the head office.
What do you mean?
I'll give you an example with telecom. We had someone that had 4 phones, and they were doing 1 phone for each site. So think of yourself, you're an electrician, you're going to Eglinton
Sure.
to do something, and you have a phone for that site, and then you go to another site and the company says, oh, you need another phone for this site. There's a disconnection between how they're communicating, how they're speaking to each other, what is actually needed on each and every site. And it also brings in the attention that, hey, we need to connect with what's going on the actual site. We don't even need half of this stuff. Why do you need 4 phones?
Got it.
So that's also something that we also uncovered as well, is, okay, there's people don't talk within a company, between each department, between each layer. It's just go do your job, and that's it.
So now you're connecting people, you're breaking barriers, you're flipping the script on philosophies and ideologies, which is, the reason that we're here today is it's people. I mean, listen, the world revolves because of people, and that's the reality of it. Construction is about the people, always has been about the people. And you just identified something very different as far as breaking a pattern to say, I might have every site have a different phone because that's the way that it's always been done, right? And you're helping to break that barrier to come back and say, well, we're going to do it a little bit differently, and here's how. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
No, absolutely. We're not, as I said, we're not here to just say, hey, listen, oh yeah, we're going to save you all this money, but what makes sense, and why doesn't it not make sense, and what is going on back and forth? Why do you need this? Another common problem too is some people will be sharing data within their family on a work phone, or there's so many different kinds of things. And to really understand what's going on, you have to be communicating with each other.
Okay. So we've touched two topics, garbage disposal and cell phones. What else is there that gets overlooked?
Fuel. So for an example that we discovered with our team. So for example, one particular client, they have a fuel card, which I'm sure the audience may know, but if you don't know, certain companies, you go to their station, you get discounts or you get certain perks.
Right.
This client, the individual working within the company, was was with vendor A, but they were going with vendor B and fueling up there. Well, vendor B was charging them extra because they weren't using their proper card. They're using the proper card, and the company wasn't gaining any points, and it was just costing the company more money. So what we did was the reason why they were going to vendor B instead of vendor A, it was closer to the facility, and vendor A, there's not as many locations. So what we did is we found a company card that has vendor A and B. So this way, these individuals could go to any gas station they want, get the perks, and as well not get charged those extra fees for going to the wrong station.
Interesting. Okay, let's keep going. Give me another exciting one that
one that's not just construction specific, but it could also be for contractors, designers, anybody in that space as well, is merchant services. So we all know there's a lot of cash that goes back and forth, but at the end of the day, you do got to put something either between bank accounts or on a credit card.
Sure.
And we've all seen it. You go to McDonald's now, they're asking for a tip, right? And everywhere you go, they're asking for a tip. Why? Because those machines are bloody expensive to operate. The POS system, all the third-party transactions going back and forth. And within that, there's a huge amount of savings. There's between sometimes $17K to $33K per year just on that machine. Even to go door to door, they even have chips now that you can attach at the bottom or the top of your phone that can swipe a credit card. It's done in one shot, or to put a deposit down. Versus if you're going to your typical ones that you see online, I'll say, let's say for example, Stripe. There's lots of fees that get taken out, and at the end of the day, do you want to have to add that on top of your service? Or are you going to eat it? And do you want to eat less or do you want to eat more?
Okay, so give me an example now. Give me something that we can openly disclose. It's not a hidden thing. Like I'm here going, okay, I'm hearing you. I got you. I see you. I understand you. Tell me more about some of the fees. Like when you talk about fees, okay, tell me more.
So an example of where a lot of people don't realize that they're being charged is what's called a global fee. So if you're doing interactions between or transactions between Canada, why do you need a global fee?
So you tell me you can push back to vendors?
Yeah, absolutely. There's telecom, merchant services, every single category that we work with. There's all these small little things that you can, with negotiation, you can take off.
This goes back to your point. I don't mean to jump in there, but this goes back to your point, was like, yeah, I'll just pay that fee because I don't know otherwise. Truthfully, like, okay, here, swipe my phone, take my. We use, why do we use credit cards? Because we get paid, and then I don't have to chase down vendors. I don't have to say like, where's my money? It's paid, right? To Andrew, to your point earlier, is I don't necessarily have the bandwidth or interest. I may or may not, to dig into like, what am I actually paying? Here's an example that comes to mind. This is crazy, but it just popped in my mind. If I think of Niagara Falls, Canada, you go to Niagara Falls and you go to a restaurant and there's like, HST, and then there's like a tourist tax, another tax. Again, 9.5 out of 10 people simply pay that. Except when you say, well, I'm not interested to pay this, they take that off that bill, right?
Exactly. And what I think where we stand out, think about when, at least for me, whenever I call Bell Canada, or I'm calling Rogers, I'm always on the phone with them for 2 hours.
It's a pain in the ass, yep.
Right?
Yeah, I'm calling you out, Rogers. It's awful.
But as everyday consumers, we don't have that negotiating power. That's not taught in school.
Right.
Versus with us, our head office, they know how to use those certain keywords and those certain little hidden phrases that can say, hey, listen, we're going to go somewhere else, or you got to take this off. We don't actually need this.
That, and they have the contacts within the companies to bypass the front staff, so they can go to the individual right away and say, listen, this is the situation. We need to work on this and we need to get an improvement here. Whether that's billing errors from the past or going into the future and getting better results. Based on even what Erika was saying with the merchant services, it's not even just the fees, even what you are paying. So let's say, for example, some merchant service vendors are charging you 8 cents per transaction.
Sure.
And then that's like their standard cost. They can add another 20 cents on it, and you or me are just like, okay. Because how much do you know about merchant services, the background in terms of what everything
And I'm going to
costs?
say I'll pay the 20 cents to get my money and move on with life.
Exactly.
Right.
What a lot of people don't realize is if you negotiate with certain vendors, you can lower that 20 cents and get it to an actual fee that's more manageable for you.
Thank you.
And 20 cents to the regular person is, oh, whatever, it's 20 cents. I get a letter all the time. Oh, we're increasing your price by $2.50. But when it's a business and when you have this category and this and that, you got to see some of the savings that we have. It's like $100,000 a year. I don't know about you. I can do a lot with $100,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not even that. It's more of, in the last year alone, as you know, interest rates have skyrocketed. Inflation's sort of calming down now, but still not at the greatest point. A lot of companies are feeling the inflation. They're feeling all these prices, so their profit margins are getting squeezed as we speak. So what we do is we'll help you lower your expenses. So this way we get you back some of that profit margin that you want. And this way, what Erika and I didn't mention is, let's say you proceed with us and we do business together. It's not just a one-time transaction where this is the savings, here we go. We monitor your bills for, let's say we agree on a 3-year term. All throughout those 3 years, we monitor your bills, and about, I believe, twice a year, we come to you with reports. This is what we saved. This is what we did for you. And as well, during that time period, we'll also come to you. We found more savings for you. Do you want to proceed, yes or no?
Right. So, and thanks for being so vulnerable and unpacking some of this. I think that it's worth sharing with the audience because I know this, and so it's already etched in my brain. The exciting part is that, there's organizations where I'm sure you come into and you evaluate them and go, high five team, you guys are doing really well. Like you've already maximized on some of the savings. There's no service, there's no use for us to start a partnership today. We'll check back in at a period of time because the Schooley Mitchell model, the way I understand it, and please fill in the gaps, is it's not like you come here and say, hey, pay me and I'll do this service for you. It's like, no, I'm going to come in and do a free audit. Like I'm going to do a free evaluation to tell you where you're at holistically as an organization. And if there's some savings there, then high five team, we're going to engage in a partnership, and Schooley Mitchell gets paid off of that, which is a very different philosophy than a lot of other cost saving platforms available. Did I capture that correctly?
Absolutely, because even when you are doing a good job and you're satisfied with your current vendors, 9 times out of 10, they'll even find something that they can find hidden savings here and there. But at the end of the day, if you're doing a good job, then when we come back with a value report, we know you're doing a good job. But at the end of the day, we have that connection. And whether it's now or whether it's in the future, we can come back and say, hey, you know what? We might not be able to work together, but here's this person and here's how they can help them in this way or vice versa. So we're not just here to say, we're also not here just to say, hey, you did a good job. How else can we serve you? How else can we provide value? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't just start and stop with cost reduction. There's so many strategies that we're doing a good job with, and businesses are like boats, and you got to clog up certain holes before you get to certain parts of the storm.
Okay, tell me more about that. You got me there. So clog up certain holes to get to other parts of the storm. Go on.
Let's say, for example, so I came from the marketing world, and a lot of people or a lot of businesses would come to us and say, I need marketing. I need lead generation. Okay, well, why do you need lead generation? Why do you need to increase revenue? What are you struggling with? Why are you struggling with it? And some people will say, oh, okay, that's the solution would be social media, or the solution would be SEO. And the reality is that, okay, you do need that, but not right now. if I generate leads for you and your receptionist is not picking up the phone, or you have high turnover in your sales team, you got to fix your sales team before you start spending money on marketing. Because in 6 months, you're going to tell me, oh, it's not working. It's not working for a reason. And so that's what I mean by some of the holes in the boat. It could be, maybe you need HR. Maybe you need to start bringing in a body that represents people. It could, another big thing is, and I know we touched on this quite a bit, is it comes down to leadership. The leader at the top of the pact has a mindset that gets portrayed on everyone else. And some people don't see that they're the problem. And that also that's a huge hole in the boat.
Right. It's interesting because human beings, we don't know what we don't know until we do. And you illuminated a very key point is like, I think of, the old adage of, and it's not, this is the way our brains are operated, is I need to increase revenue this year. So what do I got to do? I got to market more. I got to advertise more. I got to, whatever that widget is to fill that hole in the boat. I love that. And what I heard you say is like, let's just, put the motor in neutral for a second. Let's plug the holes and then go, okay, hang on a second. Let's say we drive in 1,000 new leads in the next 10 days. So what now? What happens next? And that's, where you're taking a holistic approach to it.
Absolutely. And the other thing too is the owners of these businesses sometimes don't realize that the people within the business are marketing themselves. And if you're portraying a certain image, that's also going to trickle down. So we see in stocks, there's like an employee satisfaction rate. And that's a determinant for an investor to buy a stock. So if the employees are unsatisfied, it could be a determining factor of whether they buy the shares or not. And your employees, how they project your company as well out in the public, it's all about people. It's not even necessarily about marketing outside, but the people inside are also your market.
Thank you. Touching and humbling and very different from, hey, it's really easy to come in and sort of bang a drum and grab the microphone and say, hey, look at us, we're going to come and help you. And what you're now, it's not a, we're going to come and help and tap out folks. We're going to stay connected because, one thing I've learned about our fresh connection together is it is about connection, right? And Andrew, I don't even know if you know this, but the first time that Erika and I talked, it was like, I think it was a 3-hour conversation with breaks in between.
Yeah.
Seriously. It was like, it was a message like, okay, can you talk? Yeah. And it was like, I don't know. She probably couldn't shut me up, and it went on and on. I'm like, okay, hang on, I gotta pull the handbrake here, come back. Next time I pick up the phone, it's like, okay, I got a fresh coffee, let's keep going. And it just it turbocharges to lead us to where we are today, right? And what was that about? It was because of about connections, about learning so much about other human beings, and right away, people come into orbit. Okay, Erika, this person comes to mind. Okay, Jonathan, this person comes to mind. And now we're holistically creating an ecosystem that we can all survive and thrive in, right? Which is really, really interesting. So thank you for unpacking that. I want to pivot back to Schooley Mitchell for a second, because the more and more I learn, it becomes more and more exciting in the sense that whether I'm a small business owner who wants to spend the time, energy, and resources working on the things in the business that I enjoy, or working on the business rather than in the business, then I look at an organization like Schooley Mitchell to say, well, then this is helpful for you. And I want to also pivot to know that I've worked with some large organizations where we've had heads of departments, right? Like, here's our purchasing department, here's our IT department, here's our HR department. And let's take IT for a second. Our IT department was fantastic at what they did. And part of what those gentlemen did was we would change our telecommunications periodically, right? Again, what's illuminated for me now is I've always looked at those folks as rock stars, and they are within the realm that they're in. What they don't know is what they don't yet know, because Schooley Mitchell has got the connections throughout it's North American wide, or is that true, or is it globally?
Canada and the U.S.
Canada and the U.S., right? So, if Jonathan's negotiating with Rogers and I walk away, we go, hey, just saved everybody. Our cell phone plans are, now $100 a month rather than 120. Cool. On 1,000 phones, we saved a lot of money, right? The Schooley Mitchell aspect of that could even augment that experience that much more, which that showed up for me today. So I think that I'm just simply brain dump on that because that's exciting to know, right?
The average, I think, salary to hire someone to do what we do is $67,000. And now you have 250 cost reduction experts at head office that do it not only for a fraction of the price, but you're also saving on top of that. So that's whether you're a small business or whether you're a big business. And this is something too that I've struggled when I had my marketing agency, was letting go and letting other people do what they need to do for you, and delegating. And when you have a great, I will say this too, instead of having one person doing it, having a team makes a big difference, even if it's for one particular role or category. For example, you can't have a whole purchasing department with one person.
Right.
It can work, but the impact is going to be better when you have a team and when they have different skill sets coming together.
Well, look, hang on, Andrew. Just in our purchasing department, for example, if we were to get a bin, we're dealing with 3 vendors, because beyond 3 vendors, you don't have the time, energy, or capacity to just even give a shit. Like, I'm going to go to the first 3 guys, except if I go back to what Andrew was talking about, yeah, they're all going to be charging X plus X plus X plus X. But if that's consistent across the board, I don't know otherwise. And when you have a project that runs 12, 18, 24, 30 months, those are big deal items, right? And you think I'm going to have the time and energy to go and change a bin vendor halfway through the project? I don't give a shit. I really don't. When we're talking millions of dollars of projects, if I'm going to spend a couple $100,000 on garbage disposal, then that's the cost of doing business until it isn't. And Angelina just hit the mic again, so I apologize for that. But that's what I'm learning today is, until it isn't, it's like, well, what if we could, $20 a month makes a big difference, right? Even if it's a big business.
You know how many espressos that is?
The thing is you, me, and everyone else, we look at $20 a month, or we look at the small, from a business aspect, we look at the smaller ones, small expenses, and we're just like, I'll deal with it later. That's a problem for a different time. Eventually, it just gets out of hand, and then you look at it, you're like, I still don't have time for this. So that's where we come into play. Instead of it dealing with it later, give it to us. We'll deal with it. You can focus on what you want to focus on. Even going back to what Erika was saying about the IT. So we also help out in the IT sector as well with the background in terms of e-signatures. We do savings on that. We also help out with, what are the platforms, like Microsoft, the UCAS?
Adobe, Google, Microsoft. So sometimes you'll go to, let's say, Microsoft and say, hey, listen, I'm starting a business, which is what we did. Hey, we're starting a business. We need 10 users. Versus if I just call it in and say, okay, like this is the pricing. No. We can go in and say, we want this, and this is what this is the price.
My point is, instead of us just working with the business owner, we'll talk to the IT staff, because the business owner wants to save money.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. The IT staff needs these tools to properly work and help the company. So that's where the connection comes in. And that's where we can help the IT and the business owner come together. As you said in the beginning, as you've been stating throughout the whole time, it's all about connection and human involvement. The IT tells the owner, this is what I need. We talk to the IT and the owner. Don't worry, we'll work out with you. We'll get it for you. So this way the IT's happy and the owner's happy because they're saving money. And then this way the company can move forward.
Okay. There's a few things, but so now I want to come to let's stay on the human to human connection for a moment in time, right? Mm-hmm. So now I love what we're talking about as far as the IT space. Okay, business owner wants to save money. Cool. Andrew, I want you to go and connect with Jonathan. He's our IT specialist, right? What do you do to build trust, right? Because you're going to come in and I'm going to be like, right now, you're going to come in and I'm the lion in the jungle, and you're like the I don't know, something's not a smaller thing, but I'm ready to chomp at you because I'm like, who the hell is this guy? shut the fuck up. I'm good with doing what I'm doing. So what do you do to foster that connection?
So first things first, I come in. Obviously, we have a meeting. I say, listen, I'm not here to take your job. I'm not here to do any of that. All I'm here to do is make it easier for you and help the company save money. So what I first start with is, what's most important to you? That's one of my first questions. What can I help you with? So then we have our whole meeting. So what do you need? What do you require? What needs to be fixed? I try to, because I've worked in companies before where you're the smaller guy in the company and you're trying to tell the management, this is what we need, but they're kind of like, yeah, whatever. Right. I don't care. So I try to take it from that point of view. Maybe the IT guy's not being listened to, or maybe there's something that the business owner just doesn't understand that they need. So I come in, obviously we'll work together. This is what you need. This is what you want. What problems are you having? I'll get the stories down. We'll have it all written down. I'll go to the owner, say, listen, this is what we have. I go to our team. Our team kind of works around what the IT guy gave us and the information, and we work on what the pricing what the owner gave us. So this way we can go back to the IT guy, say, listen, or woman, and we can say, listen, this is what you liked, this is what you needed, and this is what problems you want solved. Here is an option available to you, obviously because they're the expert in that field too. They know what they're talking about. What do you think? And we try to make it collaborative, work with them rather than, listen, this is what you're going to do. You're going to listen to us. We're not going to get anywhere that way. At least this way, when we work with them, it's that human-to-human connection and touch. And this way, we can get further along than us just telling them, you're going to do what we tell you.
I just want to add to that as well. Before we even get into that stage, I like to just have a conversation. You know, where are you hanging out? What we in our organization, we call it distinctive value. You know, what are you passionate about? Even before we get into, let's say, IT or whatever department it is. At the end of the day, people are people, and there's people behind businesses. And it's just a conversation. Or even if they're in an organization, who can I, before I even get into what we need to get into, who can I connect you with? Who can I refer you to? Who in my network do you want to connect with? You see how last week I sent you a connection? Yeah. And then now this week I got another connection for you. That's going to come a little bit later.
This is exciting because I'm going to steal that thought for a second. So it's going to come this way. But to our audience out there, I want to tell you how magical this was. Like I said, our first connection, you had sent me a message on LinkedIn that was very different, and I want to acknowledge you for that. It was very different. That caught my attention and said, yeah, let's chat. And the next thing I know, coffee after coffee, we're on the telephone until, you connected me last week with Erika Rothenberger, which was cool, right? Amazing woman that I connect with. I got to tell you this, like I was having, one of those moments in the day where you're just feeling like drained in energy, and it was a nicer day, so I said I'm gonna go outside, and as I call Erika, I was walking around. I was literally walking around the driveway, and I was on fire after talking to her. It was just like literally between the sunshine and her energy and everything else going on, it was like, this is what's magical. And thank you for that, because that's what it is to be a human being. It's the connections. Hey, I think, Jonathan, I'm gonna throw somebody to your orbit. She may or may not, connect with, and holy shit, it was just like, this girl's amazing, right? And that organically, that fosters trust. That fosters trust in our relationship, but fosters trust in my relationship with her. Now it's trust is the currency, right? I don't care what you say. Like, not that I don't care what you say. I trust that you're looking out for the best interest of me, of my business, right? And that's what it is. So now it's like, Erika, what else do you think? Right? Andrew, what else do you think? Once you connect it with the individual, okay, man, what do you think? Because coming back to the model, again, there's nothing in it. There's lots in it, but financially, it's different. It's like, once we find the savings, then we're all going to eat together. It's not, you're going to pay me so that I can go and, have that nice pasta dinner, right? We're going to have a coffee together. We're going to enjoy time together. And afterwards, once you find the savings, we're going to go have 2 pasta dinners, because what's better than 1? 2. So thank you for that. Anyhow, I stole your thought, so I'm going to volley it back.
No. And you just pointed something out. So you asked him steak or pasta, right? And now you just pointed out, or he said it was pasta, and you pointed it out again, which you were listening. And that's the other thing too, is every time we're connecting with people, before we even get into the nitty gritties and getting down to detail. It's understanding those small little bits about people's life. And for example, if we went out for dinner, you would find a restaurant with that particular dish.
Right.
Or, something that he said or something that you said that would light a fire in them. And that's what gets people connected and they understand each other. And so, yeah, we're going to get down to the nitty-gritties, as he said. But when we talked, every time that we're connecting, or even when I connected with you, I looked at your profile on LinkedIn and I found something within your content that when I reached out, I said, okay, this is a standout feature. Let's put it into the conversation. And that's how we started. And that's how it keeps going. And then once you have conversations, okay, who do you want to get connected with? Besides us talking, who else do you want to be connected with? Okay, now you're in my CRM. All right, I talked to so-and-so today. You know what? Let me refer back to him. Okay. And, it's all about, I would even say giver's gain before even, again, getting down to business. How can I help them?
Right.
I spoke to somebody last week, and he has a B2B networking platform. He goes, you got to do 4 gives and then an ask and then a give again. Because if you're giving them 4 people or 4 connections, and then again, we're all sitting at the same table and we're eating, do you know how much connection that is? How much prosperity that is? It's before even getting into business and getting down to it.
Yeah. Well, and this is something that, thank you for pointing this out. I mean, I instill this in our children all the time. It's about giving first, folks. And sometimes it sucks. And sometimes you're sitting there going, I got nothing else to give, right? Until something shows up. Like there's, whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever it is, it's like, it's that karma. You throw that energy out. We talk about surrounding ourselves with the right people and having the right energy. That's what makes the difference. And you identified something tremendously important is being able to listen to somebody. There was something last week when we were chatting that, jumped out at me when I think you were texting me, and I just picked the phone. I'm like, listen, I'm not a texting person. I'd much rather pick up the telephone and call, right? And your response is very simple. Got it. I'm going to note that, like, call Jonathan. Rather than sending him a text, pick up the phone and call, because sometimes I love, thank you for those folks who enjoy texting. A text for me is very straightforward and very specific. I mean, whether even within my own family, my wife will text me and she's like, yeah, did you get my text? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So can you, unpack that? Because text can be so misinterpreted, right? Anyhow, not sure how I went down that path. What is important is, again, it's that connection with folks, right?
I also think too, as you brought that up, one of the things I've noticed is some people will even, so I remember I emailed you and you said, hey, just pick up the phone and call me. I was like, no problem. And I put it in my CRM system, call, right? But you just mentioned people have different modes of communication and how they preferred to be communicated. Some people will just send an email and say, oh, they're not interested. No, like keep persisting, keep going. There's other ways to reach them. And it depends on the environment also that you're in. We were at a BNI meeting in New York. Emails? No. You have to pick up the phone and call. They're so busy. What do you want? What are we going to do? Let's do it. Let's go. Versus if I have conversations with somebody in the southern states, they're like, hey, sweet pea. Like it's a completely different vibe.
Yeah, thank you. And there's a true temperature on what's going on. Who am I dealing with, and how do you connect with them? So you just unpack that.
Even going on the human connection. For example, if I ever meet somebody new over LinkedIn like you did with Erika, if I give you example A where I just go, I'm going to sell you this is what I do, how are you going to respond to that? Compared to example B where, how are you doing, where I try to give you like an insight on my industry and then try to learn more about you, your business, and try to figure out what you're trying to struggle with. Like, which one would you find is more endearing?
Absolutely. I mean, we get a billion messages a day, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, Jonathan, you want to save money? Yeah, knucklehead, thanks. Right? Like, you didn't entice me, excite me. It's transactional. I'm not about transactions, right? It's about that trust. So, you know, you're learning so much more. So thanks for going down that pathway. I want to come back to something, okay?
Yeah.
So this is great. You filled my heart there. Like that's what we're here for, is the people first connection always. And yet I'm still tremendously curious about Schooley Mitchell, right? Because you're both wonderful human beings. And, you know, from what I've learned about you, the past and the history is there. But why Schooley Mitchell? Like, I'm curious. What is it that attracted you? What is it that made them different from other folks out there?
So, I don't know if you want to go back. I'll start.
You go.
So there's two different things that I like about the business model. One, whether the economy is great or the economy is poor, as of right now, as you know, the economy's not in the greatest state. Businesses are always looking to save money, and they're always looking to gain advantage in the market. So there's step one on where we can help. Step two is like we were talking about earlier in terms of the business model. We had a family member in the past who employed someone, I think it was for renovations for the house. The gentleman said, I'll come over, I'll fix everything, I'll tell you the price later. Did everything, kept asking, well, how much is this going to cost me? Don't worry, I'll get to it at the end. Gave him the bill at the end. He goes, this is ridiculous. Like, if to be told afterwards, this is what the bill is, or even other business models is sign up with us, we'll work with you and we'll see what we can do. This is not even a guarantee what you can do. Our business model is simple as this. We will review your expenses, your contracts, and your previous billings. We will give you, and we will negotiate your current vendors, we'll negotiate with the other vendors. We will come to you with the savings results. If you want to proceed with us, then you can go ahead. So we have to show you our work, what we can do for you up front. If you say, I go ahead, you as the business owner have the final go ahead. If you want us to go ahead, then we proceed. We sign a contract or agreement with you, and then we work with you. If you say, no, that's okay, it's for me, no harm, no foul, we won't charge you anything. It's just, that's it.
I got into it, I would say, for also similar reasons. Like, everything is on the table. But it goes back to business in general. And one person that actually inspired me before even getting to Schooley Mitchell, period, was Cody Sanchez. So she's got 50 businesses in the US. She's got laundromats, vending machines, all different kinds of things. And one of the things that she said, because I do have my patent in the cosmetic industry, and it was really tough. I'm not going to lie. It was to do marketing, to do this, to get it to launch. I was trying to get into Sephora. That is a space. It's not easy. Like, you really got to work at it. And she said, listen, you know what sells? Boring, unsexy businesses. Everybody needs this. It is one of those things. Everybody needs to pick up the phone and call somebody. Everybody's got to put some transactions through. Look what happened when Rogers went down for that one day.
Right.
Last year, everyone went nuts. Well, I know I did. I was freaking out. I couldn't do anything. But it's one of those things where it's a boring business and it works. And for me, I'm not like Schooley Mitchell. I'm not done here. I'm gonna keep going. But it's one of those things everybody needs. And I think before even looking at the model, I mentioned this a little bit earlier. When I was in the marketing space, people are looking at the wrong things first. And at the time, I couldn't express that because I had to keep my mouth shut. And I'm selling a marketing package. But now I get to start from the bottom up and actually make a difference. Because I was also new in the space as well. There's all these business coaches and they have a lot of value that they can bring. And there's all these fractionals and a lot of people with experience. And now we can all come together and I can start from the bottom up. I would also say too, with Schooley Mitchell, it was just, I don't know, it was just like a light bulb that just went off. I would also say on a personal side of things, we're hustling on our side of things, on the business side. But in marketing, it was just nonstop. And I think at the end of the day, you gotta have a life. And when I was in marketing, I actually burned out. I was in the hospital. I had mono for 2 months. It was so embarrassing. But I got it because I was so stressed out, and I would have clients call me on a Saturday, and I was hooked up to an IV going, I can't help you right now. And in that moment, I said to myself, I got to get out. Like, I got to set boundaries too in terms of personal communication. But with this, it was simple. It was easy. We can help people, and we can continue through that communication piece versus here's what we did. Here's your leads for the month. Keep it going.
Yeah. And that last piece, really, thank you for being so vulnerable and transparent and sharing what's really going on. And it's that last piece that really, pulled on my heartstrings to say, look, here's what we can do. We're here to help you. And if it works, awesome. We'd love to make a difference. And if it doesn't, then great. We made a new connection. We had a coffee. We had a conversation. We had a meal together. It doesn't matter. Like, you've now known somebody who, when time and space permits, that voice, that person is going to come back into your mind and say, oh, a couple of years ago I connected with Jonathan and this was his thing, and maybe he's still around doing his thing or not. You're not pushing an agenda simply like you suggested. Well, I can't say this because I'm really here to sell marketing. And even though, I can sell you all the marketing packages in the world, I know today that you can market the shit out of this. This business still isn't going to survive because you don't have the infrastructure in place. Now, you might have seen that, and whether you did or didn't or could or couldn't speak up is a different conversation, except you just identified something tremendously different.
The other thing too, sorry, Andrew, the other thing too is, even if we don't have something in common, at the end, I'll say, for example, there's a lot of people in the cannabis space. Not particularly my thing to do, but you know what? If I know somebody that does websites for cannabis, or they're in manufacturing, even if we've had a conversation, we have coffee, we have dinner, we can still provide value for each other through some of the other connections. I got off a call today with this guy. He called me from head office BNI, and I said, listen, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to a lot of these calls. There are a lot of B2C. I don't really know if I want to join. And at the end of the day, even that local person, they might not be able to sell to you, or you can sell to them, but they also know people. And even if you don't feel that you're vibing, who can you send to them? How can they also provide value to you? We can all connect.
I think it goes back on the human connection.
Yeah.
If you look at somebody, it's like you don't really match what I do. But if you look down on them, say like kind of like get out of here, like you're not worth it to me, you're not going to go anywhere. If you look at somebody, say, listen, this is what you do. I take down, this is how you help people. This is your business. If I ever come across somebody or know somebody who can help you, I'll give them your information. Like Erika, she spends all day on BNI meetings and contact. She has 1 million connections at this point. So if we meet somebody and they're like, I need electrical, or I need a lawyer, I need an accountant, she go, oh, I have somebody for that. It's just treating people properly. Mm-hmm. This way, it goes that human-to-human connection. No one wants to be treated like they're worthless. Even if you can't work with that individual, let me see what I can do if I can find someone for you. Even for me, for example, I'm talking to someone currently on LinkedIn. He does copyright. I don't currently need that right now, but I sent out a few connection requests to people. I said, do you need this? If so, here's the individual's name and phone number. Can you look at his site and see if that's something you want to pursue? At least it's an option available to them. And he always appreciates it. He goes, even though they say yes or no, I thank you for helping me with that.
Look, this is why we're here today, right? Is this brief conversation? It wasn't a brief conversation, but the conversation you and I had until it led to, like, I got a crazy, ridiculous idea. Why don't you come and talk about this on a podcast, right here in studio? Because we were logistically able to connect, which is super cool. And that's not like I'm not here. This is true. Like, I don't just bring anybody onto the show, mm-hmm. right? And we're not here talking about business. Business organically occurs and is a conversation because of that. It's that connection. It's that, look, I love who you are as human beings, and like the connection. It's once we first have that symmetry, like, yeah, organically stuff is going to occur. Look, we walked in today, and shout out to Heavy Duty Homes there. We were talking about Heavy Duty Homes, Phil Russo and the team over there, and how, like, you drive down Martin Grove and you see their signs or whatever. It's like, holy shit, like Phil's doing something different and doing something great. Why? Because whether it's the hoarding or something heavy's happening, or it's that image, it's that connection. So what do you think about when you think about, hey man, look, this was the conversation. There's a lot of those homes in that space in that area that could serve well. Like, they need folks like Heavy Duty Homes or the next guy out there. So this is what we're talking about. It's like, hey, maybe it's not today. Maybe this copyright individual, he'll come back into orbit when ready, right? So thank you for all that. Thank you. I think you unpacked the why Schooley Mitchell for me. So I got all that, and I'm still curious. One more thing about the business side of Schooley Mitchell is we've touched on 3 or 4 or 5 of the categories that you identify and you dig into. High level, what are they? What are the I think there's 13 categories you dig into.
So there's merchant services, there's telecom, which is include like Wi-Fi, hotspot, any of those types of devices. There is waste management.
Okay.
There is linens and uniforms. There is facility supplies.
Hang on. So linens and uniforms, fine, got that. For anybody in the service sector, which is cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Facility supplies.
Like cleaning supplies and stuff. What's facility?
Yeah,
supplies?
so like office, like you could do your pens, your cleaning supplies. There's a whole list.
So rather than going to like a Business Depot, or maybe you do go to a Business Depot, but there's, again, optimizing that segment. Okay, that's cool. Again, there's another segment that just gets, shit, I got to spend $1,000 on pens and staples and paper clips, but I'm good for the year.
Even mops, like sprays, those types of things as well. I'm trying to think. There's e-signature. There is the background program, so Adobe, those types of programs.
Software.
The softwares.
Licensing you're talking about there.
The licensing.
Yeah.
What else is there? I'm trying to think.
We have compressed gases.
That's it, compressed gases.
Fuel, waste management. We also have what's called tufts. So any, not necessarily the carpeting in here, but like runways. Again, like in a restaurant when you have your boots and all the salt from outside. We've got quite a bit.
Less than a truckload, and shipping and courier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, shipping is huge.
Especially for the construction. Less than a truckload in shipping, especially because obviously construction, your items are different sizes or different weights. After a certain weight, construction companies get dinged on pricing. That's another one where we see a big impact.
What do you think? If you could identify sort of one thing or 2 things that often gets overlooked in businesses that people don't even know, like what's the biggest of that category? What's the biggest one that often gets overlooked that the folks don't even know that they're missing out on?
So for construction and skilled trade specifically, we're looking at shipping, whether it's less than truckload or small package shipping. And it's tough because the second place ties either between merchant services, telephones is another big one. Waste, obviously, like you said, you're not going to look that hard into waste. You're just going to say, listen, this is my bill, pay it, who cares? Do you have any other ones? I'm trying to think of a good second one. They're all kind of like equal.
Yeah, there's a few. Like there's even one that we didn't mention. It's called ELD.
What's that?
So it's the tracking devices in cars.
Like GPS.
Electric logging devices, correct?
Oh,
Yeah.
electric. Okay.
Yeah. So one of the big things that we've noticed with, let's say you do snow removal in the winter and then you do landscaping in the summer. Sure. Why do you need a snow tracker for the summertime? Or
because ELD comes in packages.
Yeah.
So you buy it. For example, you buy the tracker, the device.
Okay.
It's more common. It's common with construction, but it's a lot more common with transportation companies where they have them on their trucks, just to know location, to know. A lot of times it's used for fuel. Where's this guy driving? How long is he driving for?
Okay.
Because obviously, there's restrictions with long-term drivers in terms of how far they can go. They need to track those hours, fuel waste, and everything like that. So these trackers are placed on those vehicles. They're also used in construction as well in terms of make sure nothing's misplaced. So that's primarily used, and that as well location. A lot of times, so if it gets stolen, they have the trackers in there. A a lot of times the ELDs that are inputted by the companies, they may not be the greatest technology. So for example, our company had a case where a company truck was apparently in China.
Okay.
It wasn't in
But
China.
it was in Canada. But the ELD said that's where it was because the tracker did not have the greatest technology. What Erika's talking about as well is these ELDs come with packages. So this package, particularly for this client, came with the tracker will be on during the winter time. It will give you storm warnings. So it will give you something around that. But it was charging for the storm warnings in the summertime. And it was more specific for snow and everything.
Okay.
Why do I need a snow track, like a snow warning system in the summertime? That could have been prevented if you just negotiate that and cut the cost that way.
Oh my God, super interesting. Right. Again, these are sort of everyday things that could have fall with under the radar because, you know, that big next telephone call comes in either to close the deal or solve a problem and you're just like, okay, shit, just pay the damn bill and move on with life. Right.
But I think it also comes down to that communication and between, again, like the job site and the people in the office and why we need certain things and why we don't need certain things.
So how do people come into your orbit? Like, listen, that's it. Aside from, I mean, I'm telling all my friends and everybody, cool, because I'm enamored with the whole philosophy program, and again, it comes down to why we're here today. How else do people come into your orbit?
So I'll speak from my perspective because Eric and I have different methods how we contact people. Personally, I don't know if you know the individual. His name is Matt Easton. He does sales.
Okay.
So he teaches a way of sales where it's, you know how a lot of sales, like when you cold call, you kind of feel like, oh, this
It's dirty.
It's dirty, it's greasy.
Yeah.
His way is this. I'm not going to tell you you're going to solve your problems. This is the way I call people. I give you an insight. For example, waste. We'll go back to that topic. I'll call the individual, say, listen, this is what we've been seeing. Waste has been going up with inflation, 30.87%. How are you dealing with that? Then we'll start a conversation. And I won't go into what I do right away. What I'll do is I'll take down, how are you dealing with that? What problems do you have solved? I kind of get to know them. The only way I actually end up bringing it is at the end of our conversation. Listen, this is something we deal with. Would you mind going on another call? So that's how I do it. I do it through cold calls. And I do it in a way where it doesn't come across as greasy and like forcing people to buy something. It comes across as, this is something we're seeing. How are you handling that? If the person tells me, hey, listen, thank you for your call, but we don't really have that problem, no problem. I'm not going to tell you have to buy. I'm not going to tell you this is something that's for you. I will call you 6-8 months down the road. I'll give them my information. If they want to call me, they can feel free to call me. But it's not one of those, you have to buy this. This is for you. Like making them feel like after the call, get rid of me, never contact me again.
Right.
If you want to contact me, great. Here's my information. Here's down the line. Here's what we do. I'll give you my website. You can look at whenever you want. And then 6 to 8 months down the road, I'll call them again, see what they're at status-wise. If they feel the same thing, then we can just push it down the road again. So I do cold calling. I do a lot of LinkedIn. Erika, I did a BNI this morning. Erika's doing a lot of online networking where she met you. Mm-hmm. So I'll let you go how you meet people.
Yeah, my approach is a little bit different. So I am doing a couple different things. I am a huge fan of networking in the sense where you're in person or you're on a Zoom call and you're just having conversations. And even just in a group where, you know, somebody's talking about, they're talking about a common problem or goals for 2024, things like that. Mm-hmm. I would even say things that are maybe a little bit more on the personal side and not necessarily on the business side of things. I like those connections. I think those types of meetings are what get people to know each other, because behind a screen, it's like we were talking about text messaging. It's kind of hard to see that tone or hear that tone.
Sure.
And when you're in a meeting and you're meeting, let's say 7 people in 1 hour or whatever the case may be, that's 7 connections that you made, 7 referrals that you made, and vice versa. And by doing that a couple times per day, like I do around probably 2 or 3, sometimes even 4, depending on the day. I do get tired of talking to people sometimes. But those types of connections are what, for me, that drives it. I do like LinkedIn as well. The other thing I find too that really drives it is what we're doing right now. Right. People are getting to know us. they're getting to know our personalities. Some people might say, hey, you know what? I don't really like them. And you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
And some people might say, hey, you know what? I do. Let's jump on a call. So it's more of the, I would say, Zoom type of interactions or in person that I really like and I've been finding to be helpful. And sometimes how I reach out to you. Hi, Jonathan. Here's what I do. Here's what I like about your profile. Let's connect. I never pitched anybody. I never said, okay, we have to work together. I don't believe in marrying people on the first date unless you got $1 billion. If you do, I'm over here. But you know what? It takes a couple steps to get there.
Sure.
And we're also moving into a world now where this is a trend that I saw on ALUX on YouTube, and they said, listen, a lot of people don't even want to do computer anymore. They want to go in person. And it's finding that distinctive value and just what they do. Do they play golf? Do they play hockey? You know, finding those, like, remember, he went to a meeting last week. I'm going to be honest, the guy and I, we didn't really vibe.
Sure.
And I said, listen, you know, he was talking about hockey. I said, perfect. Because he played what, AA? Single A, and now he's going to the games, and now he's building that connection. So
yeah, sorry for interrupting. They invited me to their pickup league they have.
Oh, that's cool.
So I go during the nights, and then also as well, there's people who we can work with in there, and he's introducing me to those individuals there who play on that team.
Oh, the connections, right?
you know what? To sum it all up, your net, and I know this is so cliche to say, but your net worth is your network. And you're going to vibe with people, you're not going to vibe with people, but you just, to really even develop that human connection, you got to get out there. You can't just sit back.
You got to make an impact with people.
Exactly.
I think even to add on to it, let's say I connect with you and I'm learning about your business. I'm learning about what challenges you're currently facing. If you say, hey, listen, I need steel or I need lumber, those are my priorities right now. For me to come in and say, well, I can save you money on X, Y, and Z, how does that help you? You have a priority of steel or lumber. So maybe instead of me saying I can save you money on this, oh, I have a connection, they can help you with this. You get that connection, it works out, or even if it doesn't work out, you say, thank you, I appreciate it. And then this way, it's rather than them kind of forcing me to tell you this is what it is, they help me out rather than this is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
I also think too, let's say, for example, that particular person says, hey, listen, I need lumber. I could send them a connection now. The other thing I've noticed that really helps too is maintaining that connection. So let's say 4 weeks down the road, if I meet somebody that has a lumber yard, why not also circle back and say, hey, I also found somebody else.
Right.
Phone works both ways. The highway runs both ways. Like keep it going.
I love what you said, right? You know, your net worth becomes your network. That's huge, folks. Right? So from a business standpoint, I think that, the one last question I have regarding the Schooley Mitchell platform is there sort of anybody is there a minimum? Like, is there anybody that says, okay, we're not for you yet?
Each cost category has different criteria. So let's say telecom, it has to be a certain amount each month that you either pay, or if you're a seasonal business, it's a certain amount each year. The reason is not because we can't help you, is because below a certain amount, vendors aren't willing to negotiate.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense for them. They'll tell you we're not negotiating this because there's nothing to negotiate.
If I've
here.
got one cell phone,
It's not going to help. So each cost category has a criteria. Like I said, it could either be monthly or it could be seasonal, because obviously seasonal businesses, for example, if you have last summer, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, it's in Niagara Falls. It's you take out cars on a track.
yes.
I took the 3-hour tour
With GTA Exotic.
That's
yeah,
it.
I did it.
I
It was
did
amazing.
it.
It was
I did a 3-hour tour around like the wine country.
Yeah, we did it too.
For which one did you do?
Okay, so I'm going back. It was with the groomsmen for my wedding. We've been married 12 years. It was GTA Exotics for 7 cars. It was like, honest to God, it was the highlight of that era. It was amazing. It was amazing.
So going on that, if we were to like work with them, they're more seasonal business.
Yes.
So we would say, give us your give us your bills for your most productive periods. So obviously during the summertime, we'll get all those bills, and then we can negotiate on that path. If you're like a yearly business, we'll say, listen, this is what we need, this is what we require. If it's below that amount, we'll tell you right up front, listen, we can't help you in this cost category. We won't waste your time. That's another big thing about us. We're not going to waste your time. If we can help you, great. If we can't help you, we'll tell you.
And you know what? Even if I can't help you, I'll give you an example. I had a guy I spoke to yesterday. He's got a marketing agency. And I said, to be honest, the categories that we're working with, I can't really help you. But here are some contacts that I have, and they can help you on a smaller scale. Because at the end of it's kind of like real estate, right? A lot of people will say no to leases. A lot of real estate agents, I don't want to do leases. They don't make a lot of money. But they're going to remember you when they have the money to buy a house later down the road.
It's much more than transact. This is the whole purpose this gets back to the fundamental underpinning of why we're here today. It's not about the business, yet it always becomes about the business because you're a human being, right? So you're going to have conversations like, again, I'm here to be of service. How can I give something to you that will serve you well, even if it's a nugget of gold?
Exactly.
Even as Erika said, let's say, for example, you ask us about merchant services, but your amount's not high enough for the handle. We made connections through Alignable, through LinkedIn, that are merchant services. They handle those specifically. Maybe not the same capacity we do where they go to different vendors. There's one specific vendor. I could say, listen, this individual here is looking for help. Here's their connection. This way you can help them. It's not interfering with me. And this way at the same time, both of you can help each other and, like you said, make a connection.
And there it is, folks. Like you've just said, we don't turn anybody away. We help everybody we can, whether that be through whether that be being able to help them through the Schooley Mitchell platform or connecting with somebody who can. So thanks for going through all this. This has been tremendously heartwarming. I truly appreciate you both. Thank you for taking the time.
No, thank you.
No, we appreciate you for having us on.
Is there anything that you think we haven't touched on that's sort of like there's a how about, yeah, but I want to get this out, open forum, go?
One thing I think we covered quite a bit and in a lot of detail. But I will say when it comes to networking and human connection, you just gotta, like, we're on the computer at 7:00 in the morning till 10:00 at night. And you just gotta hustle and get out there. And one thing I will say is whether you're considering something in construction, whether you're considering any sort of business, you don't necessarily need to have intellectual smarts, but social intelligence. And if you have a hustle and drive, you can do it. And your network is going to help you grow and succeed. And the more connections that you're making and maintaining, you don't want to become that fake person that has all the friends, but you want to have those your power of influence individuals that are going to take things to the next level. And don't be afraid to connect with people that may not particularly be a connection. For example, I was connecting with this one lady that is she's a coach. And there's one day I didn't even want to go to the meeting. I was like, whatever, this is not going to be going to turn into anything. Turns out she's a contributor for Forbes. So now we're talking and, we could get an article into Forbes. Find what people are looking for. See how you can help them. You never know what things turn into. And I would also say, too, one thing I learned is also learn to cut it off too. There's a balance there as well.
Thank you for all that.
I think the best way to look at it is just like you said, the human-to-human connection. Whether you're a business owner, talking to your employees, get to know them, what stuff, like you were talking in the hallway. You don't want to talk about the ceiling, the lights. You want to talk about, hey, how's your family doing?
Yeah.
Your personal connections. The way I like to best describe it is, are you a big sports guy?
I know a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so like there's a story going around that went around a while ago about Tom Brady.
Yes.
He didn't just interact with the main stars on his team. He would go to even the guys who were just walk-ons, free agents. He would say hello. He knows who they are. He met them. He sat down. He had a conversation with them. It's not just you're a guy who sits on the bench. I don't care about you. whether you're, even if you're the top person in the company, try to go around, try to get to know about everybody. You know what? Even if they're having a bad day, you can kind of see that and you can kind of just help them through that. Like, I know you're busy, but employees appreciate that. When employees get the recognition, oh, you're doing a great job. I saw you do this, this, and this. It goes a long way.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That's the biggest thing.
There's people behind the brand.
There's people behind the brand.
There's people behind Schooley Mitchell. There's people behind the construction life.
Yeah.
Get to know them.
Get to know who you're dealing with. Thank you. A couple of fun questions. I want to end in a couple of fun questions, and then we'll come back to how people can connect with you. So here's some fun questions. Who went first last time? Erika went first last time, right?
I think.
All right, Andrew, you're up. So first fun question that comes to mind for me is, all right, let's keep it fun. Not food related.
That's all he does is eat.
All right, so who's your favorite superhero?
As a kid, I love Spider-Man.
Okay.
And as Erika can tell you, I think I was Spider-Man for like 2 or 3 years in a row for Halloween.
Yeah.
And my Nana knows I love Spider-Man. Both of them did, so they always bought me all the stuff for it. I had, when I used to go sleep in my Nana's house, I had the bed sheets for Spider-Man up until, I think I was like 15. Like, she just never changed them. I was like, Nana, I kind of outgrew this. She goes, no, they're okay.
Thank you for that. So what was it about Spider-Man that drew you to Spider-Man?
I think that was the first one I've ever saw, like the first superhero movie.
Okay.
So even Erika could tell you when we were kids, I would watch one movie all day and just rewind and start from the beginning. Her and my mom used to lose it.
I'm surprised the VHS, now we're dating ourselves here, but the VHS, the film on the inside didn't break. Because he would just stick to one thing and just keep watching it forever and ever.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. All right, Erika, here's one that comes your way now. So, fun question. You're in a room like this, and that door swings open, and what runs in? It's an ostrich wearing a sombrero. What's the first thing he says, and why is he here?
An ostrich with a sombrero?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm thinking of more of my instinct to that. I'm running. I would just run. I would just run. You know what? I'll tell you a little story. I had some friends over in the backyard. I want to say about 1.5 years ago. And I heard some animal because it was dark. I literally left them outside. I just didn't even say anything to them, and I ran, and I left them there. So I don't know. Like I think it's that would be more of my reaction.
Yeah, so I guess she's analytical and very structured in ways she thinks. Yeah.
A little
bit. Eh? You just gave it away. Thank you for that one. Love you guys. Thank you. If you could share one message with the world, think of this one: airplane flying through the sky with one of those wavy banners on it. What's the one message you want to share with the world?
There are people with personalities and stories behind themselves and behind a brand. And I know I said this way too many times today, but get to know them.
Thank you.
Treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated.
Beautiful. You guys are amazing. Tell our audience out there, how do they get in touch with you? Best way to connect with you. Go ahead.
LinkedIn, Instagram, so it's Schooley Mitchell _Jujo, or just on LinkedIn, Erika Jujo.
Or Andrew Jujo. And the last name spelled Giuggio.
Thank you, guys, for being here. Folks, no need to remember all that. It will be in the show notes, their contact information. There'll also be a link you want to directly connect with them. Click on the link. It'll take you right through. Code there will be people first. Why? Because we're talking about connecting with people. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to have you guys both here. Folks, it's not always about the business. Your net worth, Erika, help me here. Your net worth is your network. That's a huge takeaway. That's going to resonate with me for a long time. Appreciate you both. Thanks for being here. To our audience out there, you guys are amazing. Let's keep these things going. Angelina, thanks for all this. Appreciate all the mic knocks and pivoting through it all. This is what it is to be a human being. I mean, we're not here. We're here on earth, giving, and let's keep giving. Let's make big shit happen. Let's keep going. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
We truly appreciate it.
My pleasure.